Good evening, and welcome to the Heikadelic Show. We would like to take this moment to let you know that viewer and listener discretion is strongly advised. So sit back, have yourself a nice cool drink or hot drink, and enjoy the show. And welcome once again to the Heikadelic Show.
Hello, boys.
Evening,
guys. Good evening, listeners and watchers. Welcome to another edition of the Heikadelic Show. Sorry, we only have 3 screens today. Derek's
he's in transit.
Running amok somewhere. Hopefully, he gets to join us later on.
Yeah, he's on his way back from a little holiday, so he checked in.
Yes.
He was just getting off the plane, so he'll join us in a little bit. But I was kind of laughing as we came on because I swear Melanie just sits there ready to hit the button to get on the show. She's the first one, so that's awesome. Thanks, Mel.
We have to get her a prize because I think she's done it the most times.
Well, if you're on the I guess the Facebook page and everything enough, you get like a super fan status. So, but yeah. We should get something out.
Hey, that's cool what you said. Happy Heikadelic Day. We should have a Heikadelic Day.
We should, and we should all get high. That'd be great.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
I'll bring the goods.
Melanie's Mondays.
Nice.
There we go. We can just switch it to, instead of the Heikadelic Show, we can call it Melanie's Mondays.
There you go.
There you
go.
That's right.
Brought
George,
to you by the Heikadelic Show.
Yeah.
Can you get us off on the right foot there, pal?
I think
everybody grab a drink.
I'll see what I can do here. Hang on.
All right.
There you go.
Oh.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Nice to see you all back.
Yeah.
So, anything exciting happened with you guys this week?
Well, as I said, I did a gig.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Back.
Feels
We're
good,
back.
doesn't it?
Feels good. Yeah, it did feel good. Yeah.
So
we are back.
That was a swingers gig you did, or
no, I don't do those anymore. No, I'm not.
Okay, all right.
No.
Singles
singles?
night.
Sorry,
Singles. Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
I mixed swinger and single.
It's easily done. It's easy to get confused.
Yeah.
The swingers night get a little bit nutso, so George can't do those anymore.
I can't do those anymore.
The swing and singles, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So you said you'd mentioned there was a pretty good crowd.
Yeah, we had over 180 people. Yeah, it's all right.
Nice.
That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah.
No, it's just enough to, it's a big crowd, and it's not too crazy.
That's a good size. That's
the first one that I was asked to do, but I couldn't make it. Was they had over 250 in the same spot. So that would have been a cracking one. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it was Easter. It's a lot. I think that the one before the one I did on Saturday was about the same as well. So it's pretty good. Yeah, it's a good turnout. Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
The first one I think was a case of, because it's the first one, it was like vroom. Everyone wanted to go out, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
That was just after the easing of the restrictions. So yeah, people
just they open the doors and that's it. Look out.
Yeah. But,
hey, did you guys ever go to one of those swingers parties? You ever been to one of them?
I played them.
So you play them?
I played them, yeah. To when I used to do the cruise boats like the Stella Borealis and all that, and the Jaguar. They used to book like 3 or 4 a year. Well,
was
summer,
that the St. John's, or not St. John's, but the Captain John's boat downtown? Didn't they?
No, Captain John's was the restaurant, but 2 of the boats that I used to operate on were right next to there. That's right. Captain John's was here. The Obsession's there, then the Stella's there, and then the Jaguar's there, and then the Stella. Yeah, it's Pier 27. It's called.
And they're
at the end of Young Street, the very end of Young Street. That's what it is.
So did they have rooms on the boat for the swingers?
No. Just out on the bow. Nice summer's evening. Everyone's going at it.
Cool.
On the main deck, you name it, and
so I can't confirm or deny whether or not I've ever been at one of those things, but or several. But yeah, my young and foolish days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was not on the show last week because, as most of you know, I broke my shoulder, so my cast is gone now, and my arm's working a little bit, but I'm going through rehab, and I did that on Monday, so I was in a lot of pain Monday night, and just decided not to. But the Saturday prior, I was out with Terry Code, the Code, and his girlfriend Shauna, who's an amazing makeup artist, and
I've seen that. She does like the face painting and all that stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. So it's Shauna Archer, and she does this professionally. So you could see the obviously definitely pro stuff. Probably does some Hollywood movie stuff. I'm not sure exactly how that all works, but just pretty amazing stuff. And I guess she does these TikTok videos and Instagram, and so now I've been getting them in my feed since she, friended me, and it's, pretty incredible stuff. And then there was one of them where I guess Terry had one of his tracks in the background, I guess from Tears of a Deity. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, we got to go out and had a lot of fun. We ultimately went down to the Edge for a bit, and then saw. Who did we see there? Oh, Rachel Jeans. So a band called, honestly, I can't remember the name of it. That's but it's good to see live music happening again, and you can go to the clubs, and whether you want to wear a face mask or not, it's not mandatory, so it's completely by choice. But it's good to see a lot of people having fun. Ladies dancing, and it was just awesome. I totally just enjoyed it. And then Friday night,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, Friday night I was going to say we went to a pub called Hills Pub, which used to be the old T. Williams, and they had a band there as well.
It's really small. It's a small place, isn't it?
It's what?
It's very small.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, but they've kind of remodeled it a little bit so they can cram more people in. But the food is amazing there, and it's they got a lot of entertainment. It's a lot of live music. They do karaoke, I believe, on Tuesday nights.
Right.
But it was good times.
Excellent.
Good to get back out.
Oh yeah. Yes, feels great. And
I was going to ask you, when you and Terry got out, did you guys hold hands in public again?
No, we did talk about it because I guess he was telling it to his girlfriend, and that had happened outside the music hall,
right?
So
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
I tried it. I'm not going to lie. I did try at one point because we were walking. I think we ended the night at the Atria. We have a good friend over there, Peter, who pops on the show once in a while. But what he's done is he sold all his worldly goods, house and everything, and just retires, I guess, in May. And then he's actually going to go to out east. So he's bought himself a motorhome, and pretty amazing.
Good stuff.
So he's kind of doing the Johnny No Cash thing, but in style, right, with a big motorhome. Update on Mr. No Cash. So Johnny No Cash will be back on the show soon.
Okay.
He was
Yeah,
scheduled
because you
to be
couldn't
on.
make it last time, right?
Yeah. Well, like being on the road and that, it's sometimes getting a good internet connection is a challenge. So
Right.
that's
Yep.
so there's Junior out there. Hey, Junior.
Yeah. Hi, Junior.
All right, Junior.
Just catching up on some of these. But what about yourself, Hike? What were you up to?
Well, I was out on the bike again today,
Yep.
which was borderline cold. The only thing that got cold right near the end, I was about 50 minutes from the house, and I could start to feel it in my fingers. But no, I had a great day. Yeah, it was good.
Right.
Picked mine up from service and brought Alana's bike in, so it should be ready sometime in the week, and then we're ready to go.
So Alana rides, does she?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's good. I didn't know that.
Got her own bike, and yeah, we do a lot of trips together, so it's nice, really nice.
Well, sadly, I'm selling my Harley and my vintage BMW. So if anybody out there is looking for a decent deal, with the shoulder, and I've got a bad knee from football. It's all on the same side. So if I had if it started to fall on the left side, I'd running out of steam to be able to pull it together. But I noticed Danny out there. Hey, Danny, we're just going to show.
Oh,
look at that.
Those are the juicy burgers you can get over.
Danny made those burgers, and I can't wait to get back. And he's hopefully opening up by the end of the week. So
and look at this crazy burger right here.
Oh, there's an artery clogger right there.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can find them up at Country Stop Burgers off 48, right?
Yep, right in Ballantree.
Yep. Ballantree, and Ballantree is beautiful in the spring and summer. So
yeah,
but this is what his burger looks like next to a beer. Look at that outside. He's got tables set up out there.
Yeah,
pretty good stuff.
There's only one problem. That's not beer that was in that. I don't know what that was. It's not iced tea. It's not beer. I don't. It's. We'll straighten that out.
That's not beer.
So what is beer? What should be there next to the burger?
Well, we're gonna see if he can get some of these in. Some of these lovely boys.
Do you? Yeah.
A little dab will always do you, right? Look at that, and George has the dark. Perfect.
You know what? Maybe Danny will actually do that for you if you stop by and grab one. Because when we were at the Atria, which is a lot of up and coming bands go to play, and it's kind of sometimes it's a little rough downtown at night. But if you can get in to see the places of great bands and stuff like that, but our friend Peter that I was just talking about that's going off to Nova Scotia, they would actually keep beer stock. He loves this German beer. I can't remember. I don't know. It's not Grolsch. It's some really off the wall name, but they keep about 12 cans for him every weekend, because he'll sit there through the early evening, like around just after dinner time, right to closing time. So, but that's his beer. They don't really sell it to anyone else. So
yeah. But if he's there all the time, why not? Holy crap! Look who it is, Stephanie Ann.
It's Stephanie.
Where have you been? Oh my God!
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long while.
So I know Steph and her husband Mark have done. I guess they were looking. Their house was on the market, but they bought a beautiful Airstream trailer, and I've always wanted one. So now I'm looking at them because my plan is to kick the kids out and maybe by August get out of Dodge, right? So no, I just I would love to travel around. So, but I change my plan daily. So
you got to go. He's going Sasquatch hunting on his property.
Oh yeah, I gotta. We'll take a minute and talk about that if you guys want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm just catching up on a couple of comments. Yeah. So Melanie says, Danny, your burgers look yummy.
Yes.
So does Stephanie.
All right.
Well, you guys got to come and try them, because they taste even better than they look.
And she did sell her house, so that's great.
Oh, wow.
That seems to be a trend, getting rid of your house and hitting the road.
Oh, you get a lot of cash, right? Then you get yourself a camper or Winnebago and go touring.
Yeah, I think honestly, like, Mark's kind of like me that way. Like, we love survival things and all of that, so we're always prepared for stuff. But I think COVID has probably brought a lot of things to the forefront in terms of, like, enjoy life, but get being anchored down is probably not the best situation. I know most of us love to have a nice house and the comfort of all of that, but I don't know, for me I like the flexibility of being able to travel a bit, right?
Yeah.
So Stephanie says they bought a place in Victoria, BC. Oh, that's awesome, because you know what, Steph, that's prime Bigfoot territory. So I'll expect an invite, and Mark and I can go out and explore.
Yeah, bring all your gear out, and
cool. For sure. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of what I got really bored. My shoulder was broken, right?
Yeah,
couldn't do much, so I tend to like blow off some steam if I can't, because I'm always pretty active. I'll just, rather than do that, I'll sometimes buy stuff. So I was on Marketplace constantly. And I want to downsize at the same time, go figure. So I bought, so I was looking at buying some land. And anyway, I found about 50 acres up north. So, so there's another 75 that I kind of have first right on if they want to do something with it, but I can use it. So there's about 125 acres or whatever that I can play around with, and it's all pretty much untouched. It's got it's up by the Black River, so it's got a connection there and stuff. But I was looking for maps online, and I found this thing that said Ontario Sasquatch sightings in Ontario. So it shows a map of Ontario, and it's got all of the Sasquatch or Bigfoot sightings kind of labeled here and there. What's interesting, it goes from like the Algonquin forest area, so north of Muskoka, all the way up through New Liskeard and all these other places, and then kind of gets to where my property is. And there's a ton in that area, and then it sort of trickles off, because now you're into almost Cochrane in the Northwest Territories from that, north of that. So there was that, and I was on YouTube, and I don't know if I want to bring this guy any fame and fortune yet by talking about it on the show, but he posted these Bigfoot sighting videos basically on the perimeter of the property that I'll be going to. So and he's got maybe a dozen that have been shot within the last 2 weeks old to maybe 2 months. Now these are obviously from a warmer climate like last summer, but he's just starting to post all this stuff, right? Some of it's jumpy and blurry and all of the, traditional sort of hoaxy things you see out there. But there are a couple that are pretty intriguing. So I found the guy on Facebook, and I was just telling George this yesterday. We were having a chat about something, and I think, you know what, we ought to bring him in, and I can get the lowdown, but I can also go up there firsthand and have a look for my, myself. So. But
just do me a favor. You know what? We have a lot of pretty good technology now. Even cell phones, the cameras they have on cell phones now are amazing. And the thing that always bugged the shit out of me is all these Sasquatch videos are blurry, out of focus, jumpy. They're the worst bloody videos I've ever seen. And they're the only ones they have. So, it needs a guy like you to go up there with some good equipment and do it right.
Yeah,
You know?
and
I
plan
want to
to.
I want to see the zipper on his belly. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, zoom in on it. But no, I'm gonna do. I'm going up there. It's my hunting and fishing. I want to build a cabin eventually, but I'm gonna bring a trailer up initially, and picking up an Argo, so I can pretty much
Yep.
go anywhere. And I've
Yeah.
got a pond on there that I think is probably about 3 to 4 acres.
Oh, that's
And it's
nice.
fed. Yeah, it's fed from Black River. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's so what I'm doing now. I've been scouring marketplace. I want to get the satellite, the cell link. I'm looking at satellite and cell link versions of trap cams, right?
Right.
For a bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
There's tons of wildlife up there, right? And
Mhm.
but I thought, you know what? I'm pretty open minded. I like to explore the possibility that there and there's tracks up there apparently, and I've seen these photos. Now again, is it a
Right.
hoax? Who knows? But hey, I'll have my own land, and I'll have the the area to kind of explore. So
Yeah, if you see the guy up there with the big snowshoe footprint strapped to his feet walking through the mud, you'll know.
Well, the other things that are interesting up there. My grandfather was a prospector, and
Yeah.
so, and again, just I'm a bit of a I like little hobbies and stuff like that. So I got some panning gear, and because I've got a stream coming in, I don't have any mineral rights up there, but there's gold and a bunch of stuff up there, right?
Ah, you have some fun. Why not, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
So our guest tonight, it seems like a pretty interesting guy. Derek reached out to him, and Derek will be on the show shortly. He's just come back from a trip, and but he'll join us. I guess within a half hour.
Hope they let him in. Hope they let him back in.
I'm surprised he's not on video in his car. You know.
Yeah, I mean that's how committed he is, right? He actually dialed in while he was on the airplane.
Yeah.
We had him in the green room. So but our guest tonight is Jason Christoff, and we'll have him on in a few minutes. And he's got a fitness company called Physical Limit Fitness that I guess he's been with since about 94. So he's got a ton of experience there. He's appeared on, some talk shows. I think there was a Dr. Phil appearance, but
he was on Dr. Phil. Yeah.
Yeah. He can tell us more about that. But so he's all about fitness training. But there's a little tidbit which is very interesting to us with regards to what he calls self-sabotage. And watching some of the interviews that he's been through, it looked like it's a pretty interesting topic. I really don't know what to compare it to. I mean, there's this concept of positive thinking and bringing positivity around you. Maybe there's something to that. But what my kind of takeaway is that naturally we tend to be less positive, right? But why is that?
Yeah.
He talks a little bit about that, so I won't give up the goose on that because it is pretty interesting, and I think what I like about what he does and what how he approaches it is very holistic in terms of physical fitness, and then the positive thinking and all of that. So we'll hear more about it.
Yeah, because he's a nutrition and exercise coach.
Absolutely. Right? And he works with a team. He's got a team.
Yeah, that's awesome. And he's also a little bit of a truth teller, which I like because he's out there. Well, he's got some facts, Well,
yeah. And what was interesting watching some of what he was saying. And he'll find out when we come on, or he's probably watching us in the green room now. But we've been on a quest to find out who they are.
They are. Yes.
Because, whether it be pandemic, whether it be, theories and conspiracy theories, it's all about, they control us.
Yes. People always talk and they say they.
Yeah.
So we've asked certain guests that have some knowledge and we go, who are they?
Well, you
So,
know, Heiko,
you-
when we had the journalist on, right?
Yeah.
That was, we asked
Todd,
them very directly, do you guys ever, you know, kind of force feed, you know, information to the public? And he was one of these, sounds to me like very few person that will fact check and put what he believes is the truth out there, right?
Yes.
So, and I found that, you know, he was very credible, seemed very credible, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at things that have happened, and we don't need to get into the whole COVID thing or any of that stuff, but there, you know, you wonder, right? Because you have faith in whether it be the government or these conspiracies, and then it all sort of gets blown up at the end of the day, right?
It sure does.
So anyway, so without further
speaking
ado,
of anyway, I think we got to talk to George here. He's got to show us something, doesn't he?
Oh, right.
Like his backside.
oh right, the
Ringo, you're up.
backside.
Right.
Yeah.
You're away for a week, and look, you've forgotten already.
I didn't forget, pal.
Okay, hang on.
Oh, look at all the stickers on this one.
Hang on.
Wow.
Hold that, George. Get you up there, buddy.
Okay, that's interesting. That's a like that's
I think you're holding that upside down, George. And
Yeah,
I think you've got Post-it stickers. So how are we supposed to?
the posted stickers are on
upside
on
down.
their face and whatnot. There's
Yeah.
a lot of keyboards in that.
There is.
Like.
There is.
And the pictures look like they're from late 60s.
Yeah. Well, this one here.
Yeah.
Where are we? Here.
Yeah.
That's John Kennedy, the president.
Okay.
And this one down here, that's Martin Luther King.
Oh, wow. Who's the guy underneath your other hand?
He's the artist that recorded the album.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Okay. So what about Elton John? Is it Elton John?
Is it Elton John? I'll give you a clue though, Ringo. It's not blood red sausage.
Blood rock sausage. No, I didn't
Yeah,
think so.
No,
you
it's
say
not
that
them.
every time. That's your first guess.
That's right. So I'll save you that one. But it's not Elton John.
All right. So there's Kathy out there. She'll figure it out.
No, I'm
We'll
sure
get some-
Kathy will know
Come on,
this.
Kathy. Who is this?
Stephanie's pretty good at calling these as well.
I know Stephanie used to rock at this, but I'm glad she's back.
This
Come on,
particular
Stephanie.
album, I think it was released in '74. This one.
Oh, okay.
But it's,
Hey, Bob.
It's got
Good
that
to see
old
you
look
on.
to it.
Yeah.
All right, boys. We're going to let's
Yeah, we'll come back to this later. You guys
Okay.
throw your guesses in anytime, even right now if you want, and we'll get to them as we go. But we're
Yeah.
going to introduce our guest.
Yeah.
absolutely. Derek says the best way to cheat on the backside, okay,
Uh-oh.
is to screen capture it and then zoom it up.
Oh,
And then you
hey.
can I'm just saying that's how he does it most of the time.
Uh-huh.
Oh, is that the secret? Oh, you little
Giving
cheat.
away his trade secret.
You little cheat.
So Tom Waite and Billy Joel, neither of those, and then we'll get Jason in here.
No. It's neither of those.
Wow.
Okay, well,
All right,
we
maybe
got-
our guest can
figure it out.
figure it out. We'll see how good he is with music.
All right, so we're going to bring Jason on.
Yeah, no further ado.
Jason,
Gentlemen.
Jason Christoff. Nice to meet you, pal. How are you?
Nice to see you, gentlemen. It's a good evening. I don't know what time zone you're in, but what time zone are you in?
we are in Eastern.
Okay, so yeah, it's about 10 o'clock. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Where are you
no
right
problem.
now, Jason?
I'm in. I live in Mexico.
Oh, really? Okay, wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're no longer in Cornwall.
No longer in Cornwall. No longer have the gym you alluded to. No
Okay.
longer. I mean, I am always a health and nutrition coach, but I only practice the self-sabotage now because I mean I used to do it.
Yeah.
As a weight loss or health coach. And what I did find, everybody was terrified to become like, you know, if they wanted to lose 50 pounds, they'd lose 10 and then they'd scurry back to their wine or their coffee. There was something like an invisible force that would keep them from their goals. So that's when I started investigating mind control and hypnosis and behavior modification and NLP. And no matter, it was hard on me, right? Because I did own, you know, the big fitness club at the time, and I had excellent certifications from a health guru in California called Paul Chek. And no matter how good the exercise program, no matter how good the nutrition program, they would always be terrified of giving up, you know, their bad life, and they would be terrified to walk into their best life. So I really had to start understanding human psychology. And I started investigating through the Chek Institute about behavior modification and a part of the brain called the subconscious mind that runs 93 to 97% of our behavior unconsciously. And if you understand how this part of the brain works, it's really easy to figure out why the average person doesn't want to be healthy.
Huh.
And then I would use the hypnosis. That's the only way to access this part of the brain. Mm-hmm. And I would reprogram them sort of unconsciously to quit their addictions and to embrace fitting into an imaginary tribe. The thing about hypnosis is you can plant imaginary suggestions in there. So I'd sort of create imaginary situations in their brain where the subconscious is a safety-seeking mechanism, and it always wants to go with the bigger herd. So I would just kind of implant and imagine a situation where the bigger herd was the healthier herd, right, or the bigger herd was the wealthier herd, mm-hmm, or, you know, the successful herd, or the herd that had their own business instead of working a job. And once you set someone adrift after you reprogram their subconscious mind, it's automatic. It's as automatic as your heart beating. It's as automatic as someone's female's menstrual cycle. It becomes in that category, something you don't have to think about.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I definitely get a lot of what you're saying in terms of relating it to, I used to weigh 408 pounds. Okay. So I would say about 4 years ago, I got down to like 225. So that's kind of where, and I put on some COVID weight, whatever, but I really discovered that it was more of a mental, mentally I had to change and adjust, and that kind of kept me going, and it was the best achievement, and just kind of think of, when I was that weight, I wasn't doing a lot. I was just, kind of, didn't really want to do anything too physical. Just feeling positive was tough, right? I had to work at everything. So, I'm not sure what compelling event changed it. I know I just got together with some friends of mine and we started working out daily. And then it just started all coming. I had this image of myself, not myself. And that's kind of kept me driving forward. Right.
Right.
So So I've been through a transition,
Can you hear him? We can't hear you, Jason.
You switched you've muted
something happened
the mic
with your mic.
Yeah, you might have muted. Let me check that out here.
It looks like you muted his mic.
Because you moved your mic and then now we can't hear you. If you can hear us, check the connection on your mic.
Let's see if I can fix him here.
Oh, the mute logo on your screen.
Yeah, I don't think he can hear us either because he's still talking.
Can't unmute your guest. The mic isn't connected. Oh, so yeah, it says your mic's not connected, Jason. So something might have.
Check your connections on your mic, buddy. Actually, look, his says it's muted.
Yeah, but it's muted on his connection is is off. It's not. I'm trying to.
It's muted on his end.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
There. No. Still. Okay.
that's
I'm
too bad.
gonna just put him in the green room and back. See if that makes a difference here. Oh,
Oh,
he dropped.
here I am.
Well, there
Full
it is.
size.
There it is. Family size.
Family size package. Here we go.
Yeah, that's right.
Darn internet.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
It looks like he was adjusting his mic. He might have hit a
something,
wire
yeah.
or the switch or something on it.
Yeah.
Did
you
sure
talk to him?
In.
Yeah, try and talk to him, see if we can get him going again.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got to come back in the green room. He's probably just rebooting it.
Yeah.
You know what? Oh, here he comes. That's
All right. Hopefully he's got sound.
I think I do.
There
he
you
is.
There you go.
Great.
As we were saying before that interruption, I couldn't get my mic on mute once it muted itself. But you were talking about the tribalism. You know, you're with friends. It was repetitive. There's a lot of safety in the tribe. You probably couldn't have done it. Maybe if you were on your own, there's a lot bigger inclination to do it if you're in a tribe. And we all have to be very careful because a lot of times when you're heavier, you know, you said you were 410. See, when we work with, say, someone who smokes, okay, we'll get them to stop smoking, but then they go start drinking more alcohol. And then we get them to quit alcohol, and then they go start eating more ice cream. So nicotine or alcohol were never the addictions. The program running in the subconscious mind would be the person's afraid to be their best in a society where the bigger tribe is their worst. So even though the average human can maybe lose a bit of weight, sometimes they pick up extra self-abusive habits or ceremonies or rituals. So they sort of even everything out anyway. So they might just pick up something self-abusive in a different area because this part of the brain is always seeking the safety in the bigger herd. And this part of the brain is very good at assessing very, very quickly sort of the herd in which you live. So in our society, I mean, healthy, successful people are never on the front page of the paper. It's always someone in a wheelchair, or someone ringing the bell with the chemotherapy or something like this. These things are done on purpose, by the way, as well. So that's the extra bit of mystery that I usually give out in my interviews is that the people who are ruling you know how this part of the mind operates. It operates on repetitive content. And the repetitive content is what's going to be lived out. So this is what the censorship is about as well, is that anything that's positive or truthful, they have to downregulate or they will jeopardize hacking this part of the brain, which lives things out unconsciously. So everything that's negative, disastrous, terror-filled, panic-filled, and chaos-filled, they make sure to upregulate at a very high repetitive content level so that the people that are watching the media take it in as their own and act it out. This part of the brain, for like lack of a better description, is a mirror. You will mirror your environment because it's safer. It's a survival mechanism. If you're like your environment, you're very more likely to survive. And this group, like where we get the word media from, and if you want to know who they are, I'll give you a great documentary after I explain this. But there was a country called media. This is where we get the word media from. It's thousands of years old. You can go look it up on Google. They'll even flash that to you because not many people are connecting the dots. But the country media was around the Mediterranean. It's where Azerbaijan or Iran is today. And they were well aware of this part of the mind, that you can hack people's behavior very, very quickly through repetitive content. And I'll give you a couple examples so you know, you can just put this in perspective. In 2001, there was a movie called Gone in 60 Seconds with Angelina Jolie and Nicolas Cage. It was a movie about car theft.
Yes.
And it was very repetitive in the car theft department. I mean, Nicolas Cage was trying to save his brother from a thug. and Nicolas Cage was a retired car thief, and to protect the brother from the thug killing him, Nicolas Cage had to come out of retirement and steal 100 cars. That's very repetitive. Yeah. And although they didn't show the full 100 cars stolen, I think they showed about 25. Mm-hmm. And when this movie was released in Burnaby, BC, Canada, car theft went up 70% in the first 5 days.
Wow, okay. Really?
Absolutely. And this kind of manipulation of human behavior is something I collect on video so that people can see different sort of examples of it. There was a mentalist named Max Major, and he went on America's Got Talent. Mm-hmm. And he's, a mentalist is someone who's going to play with this subconscious mind pathway, which is always recording repetitive content and living out the repetitive content to bond with the tribe that's flashing the repetitive content towards you. So Max Major started on America's Got Talent. He's in front of 5 or 10 million people. And it's Howie Mandel and a studio audience. This was during COVID. So they had about 500 TV screens with 500 studio audience members because they weren't allowed there live. And to start Max Major's trick, he played a pre-recorded video before he came on stage. And in the video, because Max Major is part of what's called the initiated group, he knows how this part of the brain works. During his talk, he was flashing sun symbols all the way through his walk. He walked through sort of a Hollywood backdrop, but he put sun symbols all around the backdrop, 6 of them exactly. And also when he was walking, he used the word before twice, and he used the word forward twice. And then when he came out, and he knows how this part of the brain works, and he's in front of 5 or 10 million people, not one bead of sweat, because he knows this part of the mind is a machine. It has inputs and it has outputs. And he said, Howie, I'm going to take off my watch. And he says, I'm going to set it to a particular time. And then he hung it backwards, facing the back of the stage after Howie watched the video. And he says, Howie, I want you to close your eyes and picture a clock spinning. Now, when you close the eyes of the human being, you take away its defense mechanisms. Its biggest defense mechanism is going back to see what the tribe deems as acceptable, which it's already recorded. Okay, so like when you can't defend yourself through eyesight, all you have is ceremonial rituals of the tribe that maybe can get you out of trouble. So He says, Howie, open your eyes. What time did you see on the clock in your mind? Howie says, 4 o'clock. And he turns around the watch and it's 4 o'clock. Now, he mentioned the word for, hidden, it's NLP, hidden inside his talk. And that's why Howie picked 4. And Howie's like, oh my God, how'd you do that? And then he says, okay, Howie, I want you to grab the piece of paper, close your eyes. You're on a street. You see a billboard in the background. It has a symbol on it. You see the symbol. Now open your eyes. Draw it on your piece of paper. And of course, it was a sun. And he says, and he grabs his piece of paper that he drew the sun on 3 hours before he got on the show. And he took it out of the envelope and he says, Howie, does your drawing look anything like this? And Howie's like, holy shit. He says, show me your picture. Howie turns over, it's the exact same sun that Max Major drew. And you can go watch this on YouTube yourself. Just look up AGT Max Major semifinal. And then, hold on, it gets worse because the audience also watched the video and also drew the picture. Everyone drew a sun. And so when you want to know why people wear masks, people think things are there that aren't there, people are doing stuff that are illogical, is because the people from media, if we can go back to there, understood that you can control a human's behavior through the repetitive imaging through the retinal nerve. Yeah. So that's what government is. Government is a word. Govern or govern is Latin for to control, and ment or mentis is Latin for the mind. Government is actually a Latin word that means mind control.
Oh.
So
Interesting.
they are these people who control your repetitive content.
Yeah,
And
because it was funny. I even noticed when they let up everything with this COVID stuff, you could go to a grocery store or mall or go anywhere, and a lot of people had their masks off. And it was just like a week and a half to 2 weeks after they started putting on the media, like on the news, oh my God, the numbers are going up. It's getting rampant. It's getting dangerous. We might have to close down again. And I went to the grocery store the other day, and almost everybody in the store had a mask on.
because they can control you. Now, the big benefit they have of controlling people is that in old takeovers, you would have to, they had old strategies, they could control soldiers to go destroy things. And they're like, well, this doesn't work because once we go into the country that we mind control the soldiers to go into, there's really nothing left. Where are the diamonds? Where's the gold? They're all blown to smithereens. They're hard to find. So their new strategy would say, okay, instead of the soldiers going in and, stealing, or just, through the standard war operations, they said, let's have another war scenario where we put the repetitive content so that people remove themselves. So then the assets we want to acquire, number one, they're not destroyed. Number two, given the laws that are on the books today, there's no legal charge you can forward to any conspirator if you remove yourself. So the Nuremberg trial was about giving orders, direct orders, and breaking the law, and you're directly implicated because you gave the orders. But how about if you use the repetitive content of the TV, and instead of getting people to steal cars, and it wasn't only in Burnaby, BC, where they found this effect, they found it all over the world. As soon as that movie was released, the car theft went up every single city. So they said, instead of getting people to steal vehicles, why don't we get them to remove themselves and euthanize themselves? Therefore, we still get the spoils of war, and there is no possibility of a Nuremberg investigation, because under the current laws, you can't charge anybody legally if you remove yourself. So these people who are they, and if you want to know who they are, you can go, David Whitehead has a great documentary called Cult of the Medics. So you can go to cultofthemedics.ca or .com, sorry. And medics is because, again, related to the word media, and the two first phonetic sounds in medic or media or medical is me, die. And they really know how, and if you can get Howie Mandel to guess 4 o'clock because you had the phonetic 4 in it, 4 times. I know it's a lot of 4s there, but you can get people to really take in me, die every time they say medical or medicine, or they know that this part of the brain listens through the ear and watches through the eyes, and it records your whole life on a list, and it's always sorting it for repetitive content in order to determine the safest card to play inside the tribe.
So it's all about suggestion, and that's very powerful. But when we're talking about they, because we've been on a quest to figure out who they are. I mean, it became we've had so many different people on the show. We've had the flat earthers on, right? This guy had 44,000 people on an app, extremely convincing that, the earth is flat. He had prepared, not for our show, but had all of these analytics and things like that he would instantly pop up on his screen. But then towards the end of it, the conversation moved over to who are they kind of thing. And we weren't, at the time, it was, it moves from flat earth to we're being controlled and by what was it, guys? It was like everything from like reptilians to aliens. So, and that's really at the core. I got really frustrated after the show because Heiko's suggestive training is, or wherever he's getting it from is when, like through COVID, whatever, he would refer to they just want it. So is they the government? Is they the,
The people that run the government? Like
yeah,
what?
are these aliens? I've got a date stamp for August that there'll be a discovery of an entire underground population that rises, right? So there's so many things out there, and it's really I try to be logical. I've come from an engineering world, so I like to see facts, right? There's definitely compelling people out there that think, yeah, they are completely a different force. And I've got very, very trusted individuals that guide me on financials and different things, and very, very successful, that claim that, you know what, August, something's going to happen, right? But they don't flesh out who they are, but they seems to be more of a being or an alien parallel universe. And it's like, wow, these are people that I've worked with for years and years, that have made me financially successful and everything else, that all of a sudden are telling me that, hey, you know what, it's the world is not what you think it is. So so we decided to go on a quest to find out who they are. So if you can tip us off on what is the higher control? Is it, is it simply, four families that run the world? Is it, are we going to get hit on the head and all of a sudden, we've been populated by alien races for years? The reptilian thing, I have a real hard time wrapping my head around, but there's all these sort of theories out there.
Well, if you don't know how this part of the brain works, you'll never know what ideas are organic to yourself and what's being planted into you.
Yeah, but in a sense, though, the suggestion is being baked into the reptilian side of your brain.
Yeah, there is a reptilian side of the brain which is cold and cunning, and as an embryo forms in the fetus, it does go through a reptilian form. So sometimes the adherence to the reptilian side of the conspiracy theory can just reflect in ancient lore that the person wasn't fully developed into a human. They had evil and dark and chaotic based DNA. Maybe their mental formation was that of a crocodile, which usually eats its young. And that's regardless of who is pulling the strings, and we tell people, make sure to focus where your focus is most needed. It doesn't matter who's pulling the strings, they're weak, because the reason they use the TV so you actually kill yourself and kill your own kids is because they don't have the power to do it themselves. So what you want to focus on, it doesn't matter if it's the Greys or shapeshifters. What you have to understand, they're so weak that they actually have to use the repetitive content through Hollywood and print media to manipulate you to do to yourself what they could never do to you by force.
Right.
And that's an interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Focus on that, because if they were really powerful or had this amazing technology, they would just come out from their underground bases and bite our heads off. But they don't, because they're weak. And whoever they are, it's like the Wizard of Oz, the original one where they pulled the green curtain back, just some fat old man there pulling some strings. And that's what you're going to find, is that this group, even though there were no TVs or movie screens back 2,000 years ago in media, which again is ancient, is Iran or Azerbaijan today, they would use, if you go back, they use the newspapers, you go back, they use the radio. And in the ancient times, that's where all the town squares were for. That's what all the town squares were for, because they knew there's a lot of tricks to invoke mind control and following, even tilting your head up. And that's where Max Major had an advantage too, is most hypnotist shows the people getting hypnotized are sitting down and the hypnotist is standing up. And there's also bright lights usually behind the hypnotist. It's because when you put your head up, it triggers yourself into the child position, which means comply and obey, because the person you're looking up to is bigger and stronger than you. So you'll see a lot of hypnotists show, they'll say, put your head up or look up into the sky, look up into that light, and then they just go into hypnotic trance. So a lot of the town squares would be elevated so that the average public person would be having their head cocked up, and they would be in the direction of the east and west setting sun or rising sun. So you would actually have a government ceremony on the rising sun and another government ceremony on the setting sun, so that your eyes would be flooded with the light, which means you can't see. It's like having your eyes shut. And then you go back to the repetitive content. So the people ruling us are the weakest people. It's like the revenge of the nerd situation. So in the classic jungle, the big alpha would throw the nerdlings into the forest and have sex with all the ladies. Now, what we didn't know is these nerdlings, they have inclinations too to survive. And so they all got together and said, we're going to get these guys. And they've made up a pattern, a structure, a hierarchical structure, and where they control all our institutions in pyramidal structures, which are military structures. And that's why when you say who they are, well, they is, sweet Mrs. Crabtree teaching your kid that there's 100 genders.
Right.
So is Mrs. Crabtree a reptilian? No, but she was mind controlled through repetitive content and some other conditioning devices as well to be a reflexively obedient, dependent slave. Okay.
So I wonder if that same source programs the snowflakes of the world. I mean, it's intriguing what you're saying about a weak force that is repeatedly trying to put these suggestions into the human race, let's say, assuming that maybe they're not completely human. And actually, Jason, one of those professionals that I have, known for many, many years and is very successful in all fronts, really suggests the same sort of thing. Like if you really want to discover who they are, put your head back and ask the question. But it's almost like a meditation thing, the way it was being explained to me. So, this is actually giving me a bit of a chill, honestly. Before you came on, I was telling, well, you probably heard it. I was telling the guys, I got a piece of land and there've been, Sasquatch, Bigfoot sightings, but I'm not a firm believer in that. But what's interesting to me is that, there's evidence, there's, sketchy photography, there's some, Bigfoot experts out west in BC area that I think have some pretty good stuff. But what's really interesting is the concept of it could be connected to aliens, could be something interdimensional rather than just a primate. And what kind of struck me was the fact that when they find these footprints, if they're real at all, and some of them they find with DNA, through hair follicle or hair left behind, there's only one or two of them. There's never, tracks that go on for miles and other, I guess, so-called evidence. So I don't want to mix drinks too much, but again, that's another this multi-dimensional Sasquatch that appears and can cloak or go back into its dimension. I mean, wow. And we always have, when we get conspiracy theorists on, we've had a couple, it's like when you listen to them, they're so passionate, they're able to knit all of this stuff together, right? Still
Well,
doesn't.
that's what they usually say, that everything is connected, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. But I guess, what you're saying though about, and I hadn't really thought about it this way, this weak force and this power of suggestion.
Yeah. Well, there's I don't know exactly how the ins and outs of it, but I think it was the 60s or early 70s. I remember hearing about subliminal advertising. I think it was in movie theaters.
Yeah.
And it was made illegal, right? Where you wouldn't even see the advert, but it was so quick, but it would your brain would register it somewhere, and it got well, as far as I know, it got banned.
It's never been banned because it's still the ones that were subliminal. You'd have to slow the thing down, and that experiment was with drinking Coke.
Oh, is that okay?
They would just throw the Coke, drink Coke, and it was. But the thing is, the subconscious, like that Max Major is an expert in, and many other people in the initiated group, it downloads information at 11 million pieces of data a second. Now, that the part of the brain you're listening with and I'm talking with is the conscious mind. It can only handle 140 pieces of data a second. Now, the reason it dedicates that much processing speed to what's really happening in the full environment, because it doesn't want to miss anything, because it loves you so much. It knows that its job is to protect you by fitting in, and by fitting in, it has to really see what the majority is thinking, saying, or doing, and that's why it needs the massive download speed, so you don't make a misstep. Get your head. You don't want to wear gopher teeth to the shark teeth tribe, or you're going to get in trouble.
Right.
So this is what this part of the brain is always doing. So the subliminal advertising, if you look up on YouTube national anthem subliminal advertising, you'll see that there was a sign off when the TV stations used to stop airing the shows, they would sign off with the national anthem, but then someone slowed it down and it was like, money's your God, you are a slave. And that's 100%. You can look it up right now. They're not even scrapping that from YouTube. Just look up subliminal advertising national anthem and you'll see it. Yeah. And the people know about this part of the brain, and you don't need it subliminal. You can actually that's why when COVID launched, the TD told you what they were doing. Toronto Dominion Bank told you, the Royal Bank told you, NBC told you. Everything was, put the stickers on, and everything said COVID, 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 because they really needed this to upregulate. And the censorship at the beginning was massive, because in psychological manipulation, once you can induce the person, once you can induct them into the hypnosis, only for about 2 months or 6 weeks, you can let all the conspiracy theories fly. It's not going to change your mind.
Right.
So what you're seeing is a step-by-step CIA textbook of what's called behavior modification. And you can look that up, CIA textbook for mind control. And you'll get a step-by-step version, a PDF of it. And you can see that they're following the step-by-step. Fear, like when you're afraid, you really want to fit in with the tribe, right? Like you're not going to be the lone wolf. So fear is a part of it. And also there's certain psychoactive substances that make people more prone to copy. Like it's bad enough that the original human software likes to copy, mimic, and emulate the repetitive content. That's bad enough. Mm-hmm. But it's been proven if you can infuse them with psychoactive drugs, they bite harder into the hypnosis, they repeat harder, they lie to themselves more, and they create a bigger, harder, more concrete illusion. And they found out that caffeine is the number one psychoactive drug to induce this kind of psychosis.
Right.
Right. And that's why Bill Gates in 1983, I think, Starbucks was going to go bankrupt, and with only less than 40 stores. It was 87 actually. And Bill Gates and his dad came and rescued them. And today there's 35,000 Starbucks stores, all independently owned by just that company, because they knew they were going to pull this off. So you need to caffeinate the population. You need to induce the alcohol. Alcohol has the second biggest effect. And that's why Trudeau, 5 years ago, released the healthy new alcohol guidelines in Canada, 15 drinks for men. I don't drink. I'm 52 years old. I don't dye my beard. I don't dye my hair. And basically, Trudeau said that healthy drinking guidelines for men were 15 drinks per week and women were 10. And they push anything that basically shuts off what's called the frontal lobe and induces trance.
Right.
And because this is years, decades, and hundreds of years in the planning. If you want to go to the Cult of the Medics documentary, he'll give you a very good indication about how old this agenda is that we're sitting in right now, all based on repetitive content hacking of the subconscious mind.
So, Jason, do you believe then that, let's say Trudeau, for instance, or world leaders in general, are they pawns in this master plan? Or do they have a direct?
They have no direct. They're the dumbest humans they could find.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're the most mentally defective of the entire tribe. That's what they had to put them in those positions first. Yeah. And, have various different evidences against them in case they decided to find their morality. But they're not going to find their morality. They're handpicked because they have no morality. They're just order takers. They're actors. That's why acting is such a big part of our society, because everybody is an actor because they're really living out their own repetitive content.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean the TV was called The Great American Narcotic, I think, back in the day, something like that, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Yeah. So it's just a mind manipulating machine, then, right?
It was invented as a military weapon so that you didn't have to invade. You could actually use the repetitive content to make people remove themselves, which we're seeing here. And if you want to see proof of that, where psychologists will testify that the TV is a military weapon and invented as such, there's a documentary called Pseudoology, The Art of Lying. And it will give you the history of the TV and how it's weaponized against the people. And again, it was very clever. They would not... If they delivered them for free, you might have caught on. So part of this was tricking you into, they can trick you into anything. If they can trick you into injecting poison into your own children, they can certainly trick you into buying a TV, which they did. So you're actually investing in your own mind control. You're investing your time, and then you're doing exactly what the TV says. And that's why they don't care what you would watch at the Cineplex. So they give you the pretend freedom. You arrive free, or I call that freedom. It's FREE-DUMB. It's not the real freedom that we should be recognizing. But you go to the Cineplex, and the first phonetic word in Cineplex is sin. They hide it as CIN. It is an SIN. And they will let you have 8 movies to choose from. And they don't care which one you pick because they have the same repetitive content in The Equalizer, in Thor, in Avengers. It's the same letters, words, dialogue to trick you into doing stuff to yourself that they could never do by force. So they don't care.
I just watched the most recent Mad Max video, I guess, or it was on Netflix, and a lot of what you were saying about the head up and the way the whole control thing worked was very consistent with what you were saying, right? So and it's really no news that some of these movies things that things are connected, right to film and obviously media. The media that we're on, and I think you got somehow into Facebook jail for a little bit, apparently. But
I'm kicked off. I got kicked off today.
Oh, you'll be back. I mean, they
permanently.
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
You can't find me. Look, if anybody wants to get on my private email list, email me at jason@freedomfromselfsabotage.com, because that's the only way to get my material now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So George, mark that down. Let's capture that, and definitely.
Jason, what's it? Jason at
freedomfromselfsabotage.com.
From self-sabotage. Okay.
Got that. Excellent. I've got two questions. One is how do you think AI will fit into all of this? I mean, I've been watching Elon Musk, and he's kind of
It's
very
huge.
fearful that AI will change a lot of things. I'm not really looking to talk about how Elon's, kind of connected to all of this or not, but the concept, he's very, he's made statements that, we're too far down the path. AI will take over. There's been critics, worldwide leaders, in fact, that have said, you know what, we have nothing to worry about with AI, and it's not true. I mean, so my question really is, how will AI play a role in this mind manipulation that's happening when it doesn't have a subconscious?
Oh, it's
and
easy.
We'll never have a subconscious, right?
The only thing AI will do will regulate the content of what goes in your eye.
But when the algorithms, like, if you look at, like, I watch a lot of the developments in robotics and stuff like that. The decision-making process now and the algorithms that they use are so advanced that you can freely speak with an AI bot, and it'll actually make calculated decisions and come up with responses that are just amazing. To me, it would be, unless these were somehow programmed by humans, AI could take a life of its own. And that's kind of what I mean. Like, if, it couldn't, in my, small mind, I don't think it can be manipulated unless it was reprogrammed. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think the role of AI is very simple. It's going to remove truth, so that the repetitive pathway is not beaten down, and it will upregulate the lies. And that's all you need to control human beings. All you need to do is control what they see on a repetitive basis. So once we're gone, the kids below us will only know the lies. So they could be just like Bernard Shaw said, we can teach children, give me the children, I'll teach them snow is black. And if they don't have anybody to talk to the contrary, because we remove them, the snow will be black, and they will be, I could be green the next day.
Right.
And that's what AI, it means. AI in Hebrew means mountain too. That's what the Mount Sinai Hospital is about, the Mount Sin, the mountain of sin. You have to be sort of a linguistic expert to know AI means mountain. And they always sacrifice their victims on the mountain. It's a very old cult. They like the death. They like the sacrifice. So when you hear AI, I just hear mountain. And where they used to do the sacrifices at night closer to the moon. The moon god was called Sin, if you look that up. So, but AI is simply going to scour the internet, look for anybody talking truth and punish them. So that's what they want. They want the AI doing the repetitive content control, get rid of the truth, upregulate the lies, completely control people. And so instead of drawing suns like Howie Mandel, they're going to draw 100 genders, critical race theory, climate change, and think that they're doing their part by eventually, there's a lot of stuff you don't want to know about where these agendas are going. And then hand out the punishments if you continue. So it'll be your driver's license won't work, or your bank card doesn't work, or your Instagram doesn't work. And so this group is notoriously evil, but they're notoriously stupid at the same time. They're notoriously low IQ. They're known to have very small brains and very small IQs, where they manipulate us through the college and university system to invent the internet, to invent Facebook, to invent Instagram, because they can't do it themselves. So if everybody knew how their brains worked, and they knew they're getting tricked into destroying themselves, and they backed out of the system, this could all be over very, very quickly. And that's why I think my information about how your behavior really is manufactured by a part of your brain you know nothing about, but they know everything about. That's why all your songs are negative. That's why on Netflix, like, every show is about a serial killer. Because they know you're going to reflect back the environment. And that's why something like coffee is the #1 repetitive content in all Hollywood film. I tell people, go watch any movie, and in
You'll find
15 minutes, if you don't see a coffee cup, a coffee mug, a coffee shop, or a coffee machine on the back counter, let me know. I'll watch it myself. You just missed it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they will make you drink, screw, and pollute yourself to death because they can. Because you don't know. You're thinking you're ordering takeout on a Friday night because you think it's a treat or a reward for working a job you don't like. Why would you call food that a maggot wouldn't consume a treat or a reward if you weren't under mind control?
Absolutely. So what do they get? What do they get from us? I mean, are we a feed system for them? Is this just sadistic pleasure on their part? Or just control?
Well, basically, you had to be around to, build the control grid. Whether you just stayed at your house and sent your wife to work or sent yourself to work, there was some job you were doing inside the system. Right, and now that the system is built, I mean, don't forget when you go to the grocery store tomorrow and you buy some steak, the profit is only realized when the cow is dead. So a lot of the profit inside, like what your house, your bank account, if I kill you and take it, you're telling me it's not a profitable day. And you'll say, oh no, my wife gets it. I'm like, no, they're going to get her too. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you to remove yourself and your wife to remove her. And then the various law changes, they're going to try to sequester. The profit is in removing you and taking what you've built. And that's what they're going to try.
And I guess that's where that line came where they said, you will own nothing and be happy.
And we'll own everything and be real happy.
Right? Right?
Right.
And it's funny because I don't know if this number is correct or not, but I think it's that 1/3 of our population believes that everything they see on the TV is true.
Oh, yeah, it is definitely 1/3. And then the other 40% actually are too weak to resist the mind controlled numbness. Yeah. And then there's 30% that like us or like me. I'm sure you guys are with me, but there's 30% who speak up. And a psychologist, Matthias Desmet, has said for it not to cross into the atrocity zone, the 30% have to yell louder.
Yeah.
Because
one of the things that I had this discussion with like TV, whatever you call them, suppliers, that you always get, you get your package, and you always have to have the news channels. And I said, well, I don't want the news channels. I want this, and this. No, we don't do that package. And I thought, like, well, right? And I don't watch the news, right?
No, not at all.
But we accept it, right?
You're getting it now. You're getting it now. Yeah, news is used to stand for north, east, west, south, which means information from all directions. You're only getting it from the south. Satan. You're only getting it from satanic sources today.
Well, I kind of stopped watching the news a few years ago, but literally have not watched the news for about 13, 14 months now.
Right, but
that's right.
They don't care because that's why they have Contagion with Matt Damon, and they have World War Z with Brad Pitt, and
the movies,
Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman. I think you're English, maybe 28 Days with that English guy. Downtown London, everybody's screwed up, and the zombie. So the zombie virus genre is massive, right? So you don't need to watch it. All they need you to go is the cinema, and you'll think there's a virus. They think that you'll think there's a virus, and you'll think I made this up. Yeah. But you know what? You're like Howie Mandel. You didn't make up nothing. You drew the sun because it was in the background. Yeah, it was suggested. Yeah. I mean, it's like the old phrase was like, does life imitate art? Does art imitate life? Both.
Right? I think of it now as, does life imitate TV or does TV imitate life? Right?
The audience imitates what's on the TV, and it's so complete that this is why they're so confident. They're as confident as Max Major on America's Got Talent, making Howie draw a sun in front of 10 million people, and the audience members also drew a sun too.
Yeah,
because they know how this part of the brain works. So unless you know. And you said you watched I don't know what movie you said you watched, but they don't even watch the movies because this is how crazy this part of the brain is that they could pick out everything in the background, but it's still, they know as a group. You'll see Bill Gates says, my kids are never on computers. Stephen Jobs used to say, my kids don't play with iPads, because these guys have a seat at the table. They understand that this part of the brain will actually start moving them in a weird direction.
Yeah.
So it's right about those movies. I mean, like the movies you think that have come out in the last few years, like Greenland, End of the World. The most recent one, I think it's called Moonfall. The moon loses its orbit, and even all these superhero movies, which at first I started to watch them. I'm going back a good few years here, but they're always doom and gloom, aren't they? The cities, Gotham gets darker every time. Every Batman movie, it gets more crime filled, and it just everything's so negative. Yeah.
They actually have some strange theories about how your brain works and what you focus on. So that's why they call them coming attractions, because you're going to attract them with your own mind because you're repeating the images in your head. So they have some very deep theories that are thousands of years old about harnessing the power of your brain to actually make the moon fall. They got some weird theories. You might want to look into some of those.
Right on.
Oh, good Lord.
And that's why they call all the viewers, I call them sheeple.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, you can't farm lions, only lambs. And that's why part of they're always getting you to poison yourself, so you can't swing a punch, right? You can't run, you can't, you can't battle them. You're battling yourself. You're kicking the shit out of yourself. Because of the repetitive content. You're like, oh, I take drugs because I went to my doctor and he said I got that. And you're like, your doctor wears a white butcher coat for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what I found.
Figure it out.
Yeah, with COVID, when they used the fear factor, right, is they stop people from meeting in groups. And that's what people do, is they get together with friends or relatives or small groups and discuss things, right? And they figure stuff out, and they didn't want anybody doing that. They wanted everybody to be scared and be in their own homes by themselves.
What was going on in their homes, though, the TV, and you ask an animal trainer or a psychologist, the easiest way to train an animal is by itself.
Yeah.
Get it away from the other horses, get them out of the barn into the trotting area by itself. So they know what they're doing. They made you isolated. If you go to a book called Mind Control and Menticide by a very smart psychologist called Joost Meerloo, that's his name, Joostmerloo, Joost Meerloo, he will tell you that the easiest way to train a human is get them isolated. Yeah, that's why they drag all the prisoners of war out by themselves. They don't come in. They torture them when they're by themselves, not when they're with their comrades, where they can find strength and numbers.
Right.
They get them isolated. And ask a horse trainer. You want to break a horse, you get it out of the barn. You get it away from the other horses, so they're not so cocky.
Yeah. Divide and conquer, right? That.
Absolutely. They do. And they made people watch TV. That's why they locked them down. And the lockdowns aren't as intense now, because they want everybody getting, force fed the repetitive bullshit of the day, the liarrhea, so that they go out and reflect the liarrhea. And it's so stupid. The average person watching TV, that you can see they don't think. They go into a restaurant standing up with a mask. They can sit down without the mask. Do they think the virus has a tape measure? And how about if a guy's in a wheelchair and he comes in? He's already sitting down. Can he not wear a mask? These are the dumbest things, but humans are known. You can program them to believe absolutely anything.
Yeah.
So, Jason, I guess the second question, or last question now, because we got to wrap up soon, but so from everything that you said, and I got this impression that there is this very weak force that's conditioning us and putting suggestions out to us. But have you figured out, okay, what's the source of it? Have you truly figured out in your mind who they are? You kind of got me convinced that, and because it's what you're saying is very consistent with somebody that I know and trust, that this force it sort of makes sense to me, but it still doesn't answer my question about who they are. Are they alien? Are they?
I don't think they're alien. I just think they're weak humans that have learned to survive. And the only way weak humans can survive is through manipulation. And it goes all the way back to the pharaohs. There's a huge pharaonic connection.
Yeah.
And if you want to explore that pharaonic connection, you can go see the documentary Ring of Power.
Ring of Power. Okay.
Ring of Power is a good documentary to explore a little bit of the pharaonic connections. And they were just people that said, hey, you know, we've noticed that when we have a play and the woman is wearing a red scarf, the red scarf gets sold out the next day. What the hell is going on here?
Right.
Right. Yeah. That's all they stumbled on. They're like, oh, and then we had another play and the guy was wearing this nice gold, amulet or whatever you call it, some gold jewelry. And then it was sold out the next day. And then they just started. They just said, okay, hold on. They're copying everything they see on a repetitive basis. And then they just started writing the stuff down to say, it's just easy to, that's how governments came about. The word government means mind control. You can actually control 1 billion people through, and that's why they wanted the TVs and the movie theaters in every town around the world. Because they said, we can't have everybody come to the town square, but we can get one of these. Why don't we put a town square on their wall? That's where the conversation started. Someone says, that sounds great. Let's get one of these humans. We'll send them to the university, tell him we want a town square on the wall, and he'll invent it.
Yeah.
Because we tell him it's possible. We'll mind control him to think it's possible, and then he'll invent it. Yeah. And that's how most of these inventions go down. They're just theories that this weak ruling group give to very intelligent humans, and we pull it out of our ass, getting paid millions of dollars, and then it's weaponized against us to cut our own heads off. That's how stunned we are as a species.
Yeah. So Jason, real quick, flat Earth, yes or no?
I tell people, you know what? I don't care. I know the government's trying to kill me. I don't care if it's flat or round. I have to defend myself. I'm not going to put too much of my energy, thought energy, to what if it's flat or it's round, when the government's trying to freeze my bank account, inject poison into me, poison my kids, mask my kids, and basically, like who gives a shit?
Yeah. And that's the essence of what I'm trying to get to try and understand what your thoughts are, because for me, I'm a bit of a prepper. I don't, through COVID, I did a lot there to make sure I was self-sufficient and protecting my own assets and family. Right. But, so at the end of the day, if I personally were able to figure out who they are, then you're right. Why give a shit about anything else? Like, I'm in a position financially and everything else, and that I can be mobile, flexible. I can do what I want. If I want to go and explore the Bigfoot theory, then I can do that. But what's becoming more and more interesting, through the show is that, there's this almost consistency with these, whether it be conspiracy or whether it be, consistent with who they are, right? Like maybe in August, when these underground dwellers reveal themselves, maybe they are the people that are sending us these suggestions. I mean, there's also the possibility that we are interdimensional, or the concept of time travel. Maybe these are, if you look at the pyramids, you look at all that stuff, and, we might have had a highly advanced civilization on the planet, and it may still be here. It could be underwater. Who knows, right? I had an interesting conversation with someone the other night on a VR chat, and I was playing poker. But she was telling me, I said, hey, have you ever been to Area 51? Because she's in Nevada. And she said, oh, yeah, I've been there. And I thought she meant she'd been in the gate, like at the gate, because they lock everybody down. She's been in the facilities. Their town, which is very close, is actually, she goes, well, I can't seem very credible. The entire little town is a ammunition depot. So they support and interact with Groom Lake on a regular basis. And I said, okay, are aliens real? And she said, yeah, I can't say anything. We're a depot, but this is, it just sounded so credible, and that whole thing fascinates me with the what's his name, the guy who worked for S4 30 years ago.
He's got the alien material, right?
Yeah. So you're hooked and stuck on the alien stuff. You think that's actually a possibility?
Well,
right?
you know what? I mean, like Jason's kind of opened up a new window for me. And again, it's consistent with this other person I know about. Put your head back and ask the question: where they are, and it'll come to you, right? Now, I haven't done that. And I think, George, you've locked down a date or two from one of our conspiracies.
August the 14th is the date you gave me.
And that's consistent with these other, some other race coming out of the ground. And that there's
I just know
it's a couple months away, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you'll see what happens. I would bet nothing happens.
No, that's what I'm betting on.
That's what I think.
And it's a bit of a distraction. I'll tell you, there's a race already coming above ground, and they're human and they're very evil. And they've done this before. This isn't their first rodeo of wiping out the cattle and starting again. They did it with the Spanish flu. They did it with the Black Plague. It's the same group all the time. This is how they build wealth. When you're born on a planet and someone's already a trillionaire, they don't earn it the way you think they did. They've been stealing generation after generation.
Old money.
And if you want to see, not to go back to the flat earth, I'll tell you two things about flat earth. Number one, my bet in Las Vegas would be they're lying about what we live on. The second thing, there's something called the hidden history of the flat earth. And I didn't pay attention too much about the flat earth arguments, but I did pay attention to the photographs of empty cities that showed the cities were already there, and they wiped everybody out and then gradually repopulated them. That's in the hidden history of the flat earth. Go watch those pictures. I tell you, this isn't their first rodeo. You're living on a farm. Don't worry about Sasquatch or whatever, because they're coming with everything they got, and they're trying to wipe out all the cattle so that they can repopulate again and tell the kids the snow is black and that everybody died from COVID. So get your guns ready. Get your food ready and start talking about why people believe in things that don't exist, like SARS-CoV-2, because it's repetitively imprinted into you, and can't be Howie Mandel. We have to be more like Max Major, the mentalist that has Howie Mandel's mind. I think that's probably a good place to leave it.
And you said that at one of your articles that I listened to. We have to grow our own food. We need to have our vegetables. We need to have everything here. We've got to look after ourselves.
That's why they went and wiped out the indigenous people. This plan is really old, because the indigenous, they came over from Europe and said, people are like, oh, they slaughtered the natives because they were afraid of them or didn't agree with their lifestyle, or they weren't Christian. No, those people who live off the land can't be controlled like someone who lives near their, you live in a condo, and your water's controlled by the government, and your food's at the grocery store. You're a sitting duck. And so they took people away from God's water, God's land, God's food, and God's sunshine, and everything God provided for free, and drove them into the cities. That's why Shanghai is getting absolutely obliterated, because they made people dependent on these things. And this group knew always, once I get them dependent, then I got them. And
they
that's how old this gender is. They can't get the food. They're giving them Spam and Oreos.
Yeah, they can't even get water.
That's the whole idea. They're not going to give them anything. This is the easiest way to cull the cattle.
That's wild. Just wild.
I just want to slip this question in quickly. We touched on it earlier, nutrition. So what is a typical day for you, Jason? What do you start off with in the morning? What do you have for lunch? And what do you finish off with?
I'll have in the morning organic hamburger cooked in organic butter. I'll have some organic vegetables with that, and maybe some nuts. And apparently, I missed a heck of a show. Hey, Richard, I see your comment. It's a good show.
Yeah.
And basically, I'll have maybe for lunch, I'll have some shrimp, some broccoli, some cauliflower, some guacamole, and at night I'll probably have some chicken and a couple berries and some vegetables. I never get too carby. The most carby thing I have is fruit.
Yeah.
And if you want the best Bible for how to eat, and not everybody eats the same, don't ever think there's one diet to fit everybody. Go read the book. Go read the book, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy by Paul Chek. And Chek is Chek. And keep that around the house, repetitively imprint the family with that material, and everybody will be healthy.
You make me feel good. I'm not that far off you there, Jason. I mean, I'm not in your league, but that's pretty similar to.
Good.
It's good. It's hard to do it over the weekends and throughout the year. The longer you do it, the better the results.
Oh, no, I started about 10, 12 years ago.
Perfect. That's that's the way we're supposed to eat. And that's why Gates wants to feed us non-meat, because for men to be ultra masculine and have the good hormone profiles, we need the saturated fat and grass-fed meat. Gates it's not Gates either. They know that. They're just trying to weaken everybody on every angle possible.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Jason, it's been a pleasure having you on. I mean,
brilliant. Yeah.
You kind of inspired. I think I can speak for all three to keep on with the quest today. Although that's not generally what the show is about, but we've had so many people on that it's just really interesting. But you know what? I'm really floored by your, in a good way, by your the way you articulate all of this, and obviously very knowledgeable, done your homework in a lot of ways, and how you've tied, like even when we talked about your fitness group and tied it into sort of a holistic look at the human condition. I think that's amazing. You've kind of, like I said, opened a window for me to think about this a bit different. And when you said get your guns together and everything else, I mean, I'm prepped. I'm good to go. But it's very compelling and very thought provoking. So thanks for having
me on. It's cool. I just want to throw one last thing at you here. I read a book, and it's funny. We have all guests, not like yourself, but some are very particular, like the flat earthers. We have truth tellers. And it's funny, this book relates so much to what's going on in the world today. I know you ever read 1984?
Yeah, of course.
Isn't that wild how that book from 1959 is so connected to everything that's happening in the world today?
What about the Bible? So it's the same thing. I mean, I'm not a religious person, so these guys are old, and they know how to change people's perception through repetition, right?
Yeah.
All the radio shows on your stereo when you drive to work, you listen to the chorus lines. You'll see they're not stupid. They know how to program you for disaster. They can drive right by you. You'll be like Pigpen from Charlie Brown, rolling in your own filth. You don't even know why you're doing
it. Yeah. Well, there's a program I mentioned a few times called The Social Dilemma on Netflix. Yeah. It really calls out. I don't like to name names because they'll kick us off, but it could be, like the Googles of the world and all of this. What started as marketing suggestions, right? The algorithms and everything create based on your inputs, or whatever they're listening to on our iPhones, right? Create environments, and it's this total brainwashing, and it's amazing because these are executives from social media and everything. So I think you're onto something here, Jason.
Jason, they're not executives. They're something else. I'm not saying they're aliens, but they're getting controlled by outside forces that are human but very old and very evil.
Yeah. All right, Jason. Tell the listeners and the fans, since you're not on Facebook anymore, tell them where they can You're in Facebook jail.
No, I'm suspended. I like it's God. You can't even
You're
find
done.
me on Facebook. I'm done. So
Where can they find you?
you can find me at. You can email me personally to get on my list, my email list. I send out a newsletter about 5 times a week. That is really exciting. So you could email me at jason@freedomfromselfsabotage.com or go to my website, jkristoff.com, because I use the same hypnosis and mind control to make people better.
Nice.
So I have the same mind control techniques, but I use it to program people to lose weight, to get healthy, to get wealthy, have better relationships, be happy, because that's part of the brain doesn't know the difference.
Right.
Right.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. All right. Thanks again for being on our show, Jason. Hopefully we can have you again maybe sometime in the future. That would be very cool.
Anytime.
And-
Let me know, gentlemen. It was fun.
All right. And I want to thank the guests that were part of the show tonight, which is Melanie, Junior, Danny, Stephanie Ann, Bob, Kathy, and Richard, and anyone else I missed. Thank you for being a part of the Heikadelic Show. We'll see you all here next Monday night at 9:30 on the Heikadelic Show. Good night, everybody. Thanks again, Jason.
Thanks, Jason. Enlightening. It
Gentlemen,
was great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers. Hit the button there, bud.
Well, that's another wrap for the Heikadelic Show, folks, so time to get dirty. And don't forget, listen in next week on Monday night and every Monday after that for the Heikadelic Show at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like more information on the Heikadelic Show, please find us at www.theheikedelicshow.com or .ca. We'll see you all next week on the Heikadelic Show. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor for the Heikadelic Show, it's easy. Just send us an email at info@theheikedelicshow.com. Meanwhile, you can browse our website at www.theheikedelicshow.com or .ca. Click on our sponsor tab and find out more information on sponsorships. Thanks for joining the Heikadelic Show, fans.